Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
With practice and qualifying done from, hold on, let me do that. With practice and qualifying done from Kansas, Brian and I are in to get you set for the Advent Health 400. No, you do not need to adjust your audio, your TVs, your radio. I sound like shit, but we're here to give the people the picks they need. We'll break down everything over on DraftKings. We'll build some lineups. I'll let Brian give you the sporty car of the week if we have one.
We sure do.
We sure do. I'm very excited. We'll give you all our thoughts from practice, from qualifying, build some DraftKings lineups, look at the outright betting odds, and then as always, head over to the newsletter and see the full betting card there, more write-ups, all that good stuff. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you click subscribe. I'm here for the people. Do that for me. Costs you nothing. Takes 3 seconds. Gets you done. Brian Twining, how the hell are you?
I'm feeling fantastic after profiting during the Truck Series, after hitting the shitbox of all shitbox head-to-heads, Tony Breidinger over Frankie Muniz. I don't know why the hell I thought that was a good idea to bet that, but here we are. I played a little bit on that.
You get in Vegas and you're just like degenerate side really comes out.
Yeah, and I had a last-second poll ad. Obviously not on the card, but I played Larson at 4-1 to hit the pole. So, I'm feeling good. Practice was really intriguing. We really got to see the separation of the guys. And of course, you and I outside the show sitting on one of the better pre-practice outright prices we've gotten in a long time on Chris Buescher.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know if we'd get those kind of numbers anymore. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Larson might just dog walk the field and make us, hold our CLV ever so tightly. But but yeah. Interesting. My question to you, I guess, is there was a little bit of an issue in Group 2 when they had a red flag for the tire. Did that mess up your practice notes at all?
Well, no, because I feel like you got to see the guys who ran long in the second group. They either liked their cars or they went out with the specific attempt to see what type of long run pace they had, while there were guys that had already pit well before that caution had come out to make adjustments. And so everybody was pretty much on similar stuff once the heat cycle had done. And then after they came back out, the only guy that I did see made strides significantly after coming back out from the caution was Ryan Blaney, who looked much better after that period. So there wasn't a whole lot to that this time around. And even Group 1, they had a caution, but I don't think it really affected too much.
Yeah. Well, let me present my screen. We can run through the drivers, run through our thoughts, build some lineups, and have some fun. Hopefully cash some lineups this week. So Larson, put it on pole, starting first, 11K, gonna be popular, fine. He's gonna be awesome. He's gonna dog walk the field. He's gonna be incredible. We'll look at outright odds here in a little bit where he's minus 250. Then we have Blaney, Byron, Hamlin, and Reddick. If you're pivoting off of Larson, you're going somewhere else because he's gonna shit the bed because he's whatever. Who's the most compelling target from this range?
I guess Tyler Reddick, based on where he's starting, and he's the cheapest. That being said, William Byron was basically keeping pace with Larson in practice, and there were times when Byron was actually better than Larson, albeit running through traffic and all that stuff. And Byron did admit that when he came out in practice, he came out in traffic. So his early laps were definitely bogged down a little bit from that while everyone else was running in clean air.
And that's the thing you got to think about, right? Is like practice reports and all that stuff are one thing, but when they come out and they're in traffic or someone does something stupid in front of them or someone's coming into pit and they slow down the rest of the pack, like that's all going to throw off numbers. So you don't want to look at it blindly. You want to have some information based on kind of the other stuff. But yeah, I think the two guys you mentioned, both Byron and Reddick, are interesting. I think
But I think
both.
also too, just from a potential early dominator perspective too, just because they're starting the furthest up in the field of the other guys, and you're going to need that here. So
Yeah, for sure. What about between Blaney and Hamlin? You mentioned Blaney clearly got better and was able to start in the top 10. Um, I'm interested in both from an outright perspective,
yeah,
but in terms of a DraftKings perspective, do you have a favorite of the two?
this really hurts my heart, but the
Just saying.
4 extra spots and the $500 has me leaning towards Denny over Blaney here, especially with Hamlin looking like he's got the long run speed that he has traditionally brought to Kansas. And he even admitted so that he loved the car in practice. And that is not a good sign for the rest of the field when we're going to be getting significantly longer runs than we saw in practice, where
Yep.
Denny Hamlin is quite possibly the best in the
And
field.
he's been awesome here.
Yeah.
5th, 4th, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 5th, 8th. Since what is that? 2021, the fall
Yeah.
race. So that seems good.
And they have
Uh,
similar ceilings too. I think Blaney and
yeah.
Denny when you look at them in a vacuum. So
Yeah, I think they both make a lot of sense. Especially, I'd like to try and build a lineup with a couple of these guys. Even a Larson Byron one would be kind of fun to do.
yeah.
Let's talk 9Ks, Brian, and I'll mix in the 8Ks there as well. Chris Bell, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Buescher. Interesting group. Let's start with the kind of the potential second dominators in Bell, Logano, Elliott, and Buescher, or maybe even if you want to get real wild, first dominators.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a week where if you want to get really risky, you punt on Larson and you play Chris Buescher starting on the front row at the scene of quite possibly the largest heartbreak in the history of the Gen 7 era of Christopher Buescher losing to Larson coming to the checkered last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly don't hate playing both of them. I know it's actually no, that's stupid. You can't do that.
That would be probably the riskiest move this season.
But I think, yeah, I mean, obviously Larson's going to be insanely popular, and in cash you don't need to do that. But in tournaments, if you want to eliminate 40%, 50% of the field, fade the bed shitter, hope he shits the bed, and then you win all the money.
Yeah. Look, this is NASCAR, man. There are some funky things that can happen, as was evidenced in the Truck Series tonight when Corey Heim got a penalty for getting out of line.
It was Heim time no more. Chastain, Bubba, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, really compelling names. All could move forward. All could be a factor.
Yep.
You were texting me about the number 8. Are you believing? Do you think he's actually a mover? He's going to be popular. I don't know if I can trust him.
Well, this is going to be Chalk City range. However, as I alluded to in the opening, the sporty car of the week for the Advent Health 400 is none other than the number 8 of Kyle Busch.
I would love to go back and look through your notes and find the sporty car, see where they started, see how they finished, and see if they really lived up to that name.
Look, Kyle Busch, man, late in the run, he was putting down very comparable laps to the rest of the field. And as a matter of fact, I have it down here like around lap 20. I believe Kyle Busch was running faster than the 24, the 17, and pretty much the rest of the field in Group 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
This is also a place where Kyle Busch has a tremendous amount of success at in the past as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know he hasn't performed up to that level with RCR, and you know, I'm usually one of the guys on that train of fading Kyle Busch because he's clearly not the same in this vehicle. But even with RCR, he's been up front at times. Even last year, competing with Chase Briscoe at one point of the race, and then wrecking when competing for the lead.
See, that's just my worry though. Is like I'd much
Oh,
rather
100%.
fade him and 30% of the field, knowing that he's going to do something stupid in stage 3. It's going to cost him his day.
Well, with him starting with the squirrels, like there's obviously an opportunity for his day to end early. And, we saw it in qualifying with him where he sent it too deep into turn 3. And that's what cost him his qualifying position too.
Yep. Totally. Do we know if anybody's going to have to go to the back for repairs?
So far I haven't seen anybody on there. I mean, I would assume that maybe Bush, but he's already starting 35th, so that's not really going to affect.
Same with Josh Berry. We'll get to him in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Back there too. I'm into Watermelon Man this week. I think he'll be fast. I think he'll be good.
Yeah, I don't think you can read too much into practice or qualifying with Chastain here. Clearly, qualifying is an issue for this team. Yeah. It's been all season.
I mean, we talked about it on Tuesday. That was our expectation. Poor qualifying, get our better numbers when it comes to race day, and go from there. So we got exactly what we expected. We'll go from there. Bowman, Gibbs, Cindric, Hocevar, Josh Berry, Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski. Another easy range to dive into. Brad will be popular. Preece will be popular. I love Josh Berry, and so will everyone else. And then we talk Hocevar, Cindric, and Tyrone Gibbs another day, another Saturday Warrior. And then Bowman starting 21st. Of the 7K guys, who's the most compelling to you?
Oh, this is without question Brad Keselowski. In the first group, I don't think there was anybody better than the 6 car before he had his flat.
Okay.
He even said as much, not that he was the best car, but he said he loves his race pace during the Truck Series broadcast, which you can take a driver's comments with a grain of salt, but he definitely had something for the field during practice before suffering that flat tire.
It's a really fun week to build cash lineups, I think.
Just
looking at what's available and what could be there. You just do Larson, and then you go Berry, KFB, Bowman, Brad K, a little bit of Ross. Like, you have a really good lineup, and then you take that Larson spot, and you could potentially put in someone else if you wanted to minimize your bed shitting risk.
You just substitute Busher in for Larson right there.
Well, I mean, I might do that for tournaments, is just substitute Busher, make that my one pivot, and then call it a day. 6K. Gregson, Suarez, Heimtime, McDowell, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, AJ Allmendinger, Ricky Stenhouse. Stenhouse fun. Dinger fun. Anyone else? Heimtime?
I think Corey Haim's really compelling. I mean, this is a track that he's run before in the Cup Series. Clearly, it was probably the best truck in the Truck Series tonight before suffering that penalty. And Toyotas, they had decent long run pace, and Haim, for what it's worth, actually looked pretty good in practice.
Yeah. I was impressed with him when he was running. I thought he was, and maybe it was just the car looks legit, the neon yellow and whatnot, but
he looks less like a guy from a lower series jumping into Cup than a lot of other drivers do.
Yeah, I think there's guys that are in Cup that don't look as good as he did. But yeah, no, I think that's a great explanation. There's a lot of guys that come up from Xfinity and from trucks and don't look like they fit. And he looks like he fits.
He does. It'll be a year or two before he's here, but I think he's close.
It is interesting though with him, with Jesse Love, with some of these other guys that are probably going to be moving up sooner than later.
Yeah.
Kind of seeing the next wave of Cup drivers is kind of fun, seeing them get mixed in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me also add, so AJ Allmendinger, he was clearly off pace in terms of overall speed, but that dude managed his tires fantastic during practice. And I'm talking some of the least amount of fall off. So, I mean, if this is a race of attrition, I think Dinger can definitely gain some positions here.
Yeah. I think there's a lot. I think Dinger makes sense. Stenhouse, like I said, I think it's fine. There's a few names down here. The rest of the field, the aforementioned Jesse Love, Justin Haley, John Hunter, Zane Smith, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst, Cole Custer, Ty Dillon, SVG, who, we did a lot of talk about Daniel Suarez losing a ride. SVG just might leave after 1 year in the Cup Series.
If he doesn't win, at least, man, if he only wins one road course race this year, I don't know, man. He hasn't made obviously it's only his second, it's his rookie year, essentially.
Yeah. But he has to,
he needs to improve on the ovals.
Yeah. He needs to show up at the Roval. He needs to show up at the road courses. And he needs to, be worse than, the last car. Or better than the last car.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been gross.
Let me also add, of this group, over at Win the Race, they have Ty Dillon as one of the better practice cars this session. And he's somebody that I've been banging the table for the last couple of weeks. Last week he finished 12th. This week I had him at a 27-1 top 10 again for, chump change. So yeah. I think Dillon's another guy. Survive and advance essentially with him. $5,100. If you can just get 10 spots out of him, I think that's great.
Yeah, I think he makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to get in heavy at the top.
Oh, yeah.
Well, shall we do it? Let's build some lineups.
Yep.
Where do you want to
go? Let's go Brad K.
Okay.
I love Keselowski.
And
he's cheap.
Normally say. Well, I'm gonna go with my guy Joshua Berry, 72. Yes.
Man. All right. This is gross, but we're gonna do Kyle Busch.
Gross.
Sporty car of the week.
Gross. All right, we gotta get a little unique, I think. Let's see here. What do you think of 2311 after what we saw today? Because clearly they were awful last year. But was that last year or was that?
I think they're going to be good. Bubba Wallace kind of, as he said, he held his cards close to his chest, clearly liked his car, and then qualified decent for when he went out. So I think they're going to be good.
Bowman, Priest.
Man, if we could squeeze Bowman in there.
Yeah.
Man, after what we saw out of him last week, I think that's the play.
Yeah, I mean it's a little chalky, but I think it's fine.
This looks like a super speedway lineup.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, let's build another one.
All right, we need to make the psychopath lineup with no Larson and put Buescher as the dominator.
All right. Well, we'll do Buescher. We're gonna go with Brad.
Oh my gosh, we're dead.
Yeah.
I think this is a good spot for Chastain too.
Okay. Daniel Suarez is in the top 10, huh?
Yeah, he qualified way too good to squeeze him in here. We could do Ty Dillon with this one.
Okay.
And then see. I mean, clearly we could put anybody, but
yeah, I think we need to figure out either Dillon or Dinger.
Yeah, so let's take out Dillon.
Yeah.
Whew.
We could take out Dinger too and use both those spots, but
man,
if we do
Barry's gonna have a rocket.
And Kyle Busch.
Oh my gosh.
Chase Briscoe?
I would much rather play Kyle Busch.
I mean, honestly, if we're gonna go without Larson and go with Buescher instead, I think going pretty chalky is completely fine.
Yeah, especially from the guys working their way through the field. You're going to need chalk.
All right, let's build one more. I'm going to put us in a spot. Larson, welcome to the lineup. Byron, welcome to the lineup. This is our Ty Dillon spot.
All right. And then I think this is the dinger.
Okay.
Because then it opens up a shit ton of salary.
It sure does. Sorry for sniffling in on the microphone, everybody. If you're annoyed by it, I promise you it doesn't sound like this every time. I mean, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. And that gets us up to Chastain.
I love it.
We have 800. Do we want to upgrade Dinger to 69, which would get us to like Gregson? Or we can update Dylan.
Well, hold on. Let me go look at Win the Race. I want to see what the roster percentage difference is between like a Heim. Who are we and Dinger?
Well, like we could go from Dinger up to like a Gregson, Heim, something like that. We could also go from Dylan up into like the mid fives, high fives, like Gill and Smith, John Hunter. John Hunter was really good last week at Texas. I know it's not as pretty, but
I mean, it's so him and Eric Jones did benefit from a lot of late race type of stuff. So that one's a little bit. I mean, I think we just stick with Dinger and then.
Yeah, the only other option is we go up to like 85, 86, but I mean, even based on like ceiling and stuff.
I mean, if you play, look, it's absolutely disgusting, but Kyle Busch starting 35th.
I can't do 3 lineups of him.
Does he? We had him in. Oh yeah, never mind. So in that case, it's got to be Bowman because we only have him once, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd much rather play Bowman at. I mean, forget the money. 6 different placement points, 6 more placement points potential over Bubba Wallace.
Yeah. And we have no interest in Logano or Elliott, right?
No, I think they're starting Chase Elliott. Look, he qualified
average ass.
He qualified fine, but he did nothing in practice to tell me that he's going to finish better than where he qualified, unless he hits the jackpot, the caution jackpot again.
Fuck it, let's do it. If you're not going to get off a salary, let's make our combinatorial ownership unique. Boom. All right, let's look at some odds before we get out of here. As I mentioned, we'll have all of our write-ups in our newsletter, bets, DFS thoughts, full links, all that good stuff. Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, Reddick, Byron. Diving inside 10-1.
Sorry, say that again.
Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, Reddick, Byron. Are you diving inside 10-1?
No. This is the Kyle Larson show, and I think even the book is telling us they don't know who the second best car is.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get down on any of these guys, especially when you look at Chris Buescher, for instance, who we got him at 45. Obviously, that was available for a very short time. And then he was 25 pretty much leading up to practice and qualifying. So, I mean, are you really going to sit there and take 10 after those numbers were available? If you're like me, that's a definite no. I don't blame
Well,
you, but
yeah. I mean, 10 is hard. If you can get like 14, 16, I think given what we've seen,
yeah,
obviously what we have is way better, but you can't. Not everybody's got that.
yeah. And that was like an anomaly. They definitely messed up by posting that.
Yeah, Byron and Reddick are compelling. There is some 8s, but I don't know. Feels aggressive.
Yeah.
If we're not doing that, are you doing Bell, Gibbs, Logano, Elliott, Bowman, Bubba, Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain?
I really don't hate Bowman, but it's hard to get down at 20
No.
when he's got so much track position to make up and Kyle Larson is starting from the front. This could be a Bristol repeat where Larson basically leads 220 laps of the race. And I mean, he even kind of talked about it. They did the like a pre-race interview with him, and he talked about how people are complaining about the racing. And he goes, well, you know, what if somebody goes out and leads shitload of laps here, basically pointing at himself, like, okay, well, fine, I'm just going to go dust the field and show everybody what a shitty race is. Like,
Yeah.
the only thing keeping Larson from winning is himself.
Yeah, I think honestly, the only way I'm fading Larson is either in matchups or with an elite driver, a Reddick, a Byron, a Denny. Denny's the one that's actually the most compelling to me. But it's just so hard when they're all kind of smushed together and like, I don't know.
Well, and it's a long race too, and that's the problem is once you realize, like, if you have Caesars, if you have FanDuel, if you have MGM available to you that all offer live betting, why are you going to bet these guys that are bunched together right now pre-race when we got 267 laps of this thing that could jumble up the field, you know, and you can grab somebody live at the same, if not longer, numbers?
Yep. All right, Brian. I think I've talked enough. My voice is losing it. My face hurts. All that good stuff. Then, like I said, newsletter will be out. You got some initial thoughts. Drop questions if you have them. We're happy to jump in there and have conversations. We'll be in the pre-race poll with Chris Wormy tomorrow morning, so make sure you come check that out. All the links will be in there. Hit us up on Twitter. We can help you build lineups, final betting thoughts, all that good stuff. We'll have grid rival picks. We'll have our favorite picks on DraftKings, all that stuff written up in their newsletter, which is completely free to subscribe to. So go check that out. If you're watching this now and you've yet to subscribe, you can still go check it out, see what you think. If you enjoy it, consider hitting subscribe. Costs you nothing, helps us out tremendously. Click the like button and subscribe button on the way out. I promise you I sound better. And we'll be off for the All-Star break, but
Thank
we'll be
God.
back for Charlotte. So get ready for that. Let's cash some tickets. Let's win some money on DraftKings. And with that being said, we'll talk to you next time.